I'm Ian Mark from 70s Rock Photos, the author of Adventures of a 70s Rock Photographer. In this video, I will take you back to March 1977 when I photographed Thin Lizzy opening for Queen. Both Queen and Thin Lizzy did two concerts in the same venue over 2 days in Calgary on March 17th and 18th. But before we go any further, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. At the very end, you will see links to two other videos. One about shooting Queen, who headlined this concert, and the other about photographing Rush in 1975. Every concert starts with a great venue, so let's take a look at the Jubilee from the exterior, interior, and the backstage. I'm also going to take you to the hotel where my boss Keith Sharp and I met Thin Lizzy the day after the first concert. Both Thin Lizzy and Queen performed at the Southern Alberta Jubilee Auditorium. The Jube, as it is called in Calgary, goes back to 1955 and seats just over 2,500 people. As you can see from these shots, it is not Madison Square Gardens, but a much smaller venue more akin to opera-like presentations. Both Les Miserables and The Phantom have done multiple runs here. I personally have photographed Styx, Queen, Jethro Tull, Lou Rawls, April Wine, Paul Williams, The Hollies, Three Dog Night, Nana Muscari, and Alice Cooper at the Jube. So while Thin Lizzy was not at the top of the rock world in 1977, they still would have been accustomed to playing to bigger crowds than they would be at the Jubilee. The upside of that for the photographer is that you can get better and closer shots because the house is smaller. So let's take a look at the photographs of the concert and then go to their hotel the day of the second concert. The Thin Lizzy lineup for this concert included Phil Lynott on bass, Brian Downey on drums, Gary Moore and Scott Gorman on guitar. In many bands, the bass player is often relegated to the back of the stage beside the drummer, taking on a supportive role. But in the case of Thin Lizzy, Phil was the front man and the creative genius for the group, writing most of their songs. Some might say he was Thin Lizzy. Now, as I said before, Thin Lizzy did two concerts over 2 days in Calgary. There was a music reviewer from the Calgary Herald who was at the first concert who wrote a scathing review of Thin Lizzy and their performance. So on the day of the second performance, my boss Keith Sharp arrived at the Jubilee to interview Queen. Now it just so happened that while Keith Sharp was the publisher of Music Express magazine, he was also a sports writer for the Calgary Herald. So when someone at the Jubilee introduced Keith to Phil as a writer from the Calgary Herald, Phil assumed that he was the one behind the bad review and proceeded to unleash his fury on Keith until he finally understood that Keith was not the one behind the review, and Phil calmed down. I guess hell hath no fury like a performer who has just been trashed by the press. My mother was an opera singer. We made a deal whereby I would go to an opera and she would attend a rock concert with me. I decided to take her to this concert so she could see Queen and Thin Lizzy. I caught her napping during Thin Lizzy as I was taking shots. How anyone could sleep during Thin Lizzy with the sound at 120 decibels or whatever it is as a rock concert, it's loud, I will never know. As I said at the beginning, Keith Sharp and I went to the Lord Nelson Hotel, now a Holiday Inn, in Calgary to meet the band. Typically, it was Keith Sharp asking the questions while I was taking photographs. In this case, the interview was around 11 o'clock in the morning. I was tired, having been attacked while shooting Queen the night before. On top of that, Keith told me to stay up all night to develop and print the shots of Queen because he had an interview set up with them at the Jubilee. Keep in mind that this is the 70s when film ruled the day, not digital. As a result, I was exhausted and in no mood for nonsense. When we entered their hotel room, the whole band was waiting. The interview began and I took out my camera to take pictures. It was then that Phil spoke out and said, "No pictures, please," as they were not presentable. I was mad and he could see it. This is the only time that anyone refused to allow me to take pictures. During an interview, I thought to myself, you could take all day to get ready, but you will not look any different from what you look right now. After the interview, we all gathered inside the elevator to go down to the lobby. There was this girl who joined us in the elevator who was there from the record or production company to keep the boys happy while they were in the city, or shall I say back in town. I always remember one of the band members speaking to her saying something like, "When you come back tonight, there is only one of you, so you need to bring back 3 more girls. Make of that whatever you want." I hope you enjoyed these vintage photographs from 1977. I would like to dedicate this video to Thin Lizzy frontman Phil Lynott, who died on January the 4th, 1986, Thin Lizzy guitarist Gary Moore, who died on February the 6th, 2011, and Queen frontman Freddie Mercury, who passed on November the 24th, 1991. Since Queen was the headliner for Thin Lizzy on this tour, I would like to end with a few shots of their set, after which you will see a link to 2 other videos about Queen and Rush. Thanks for watching.